Hello. Okay, so for week 3, we are to discuss a sport that we have learned as an adult and why. I have not learned a new sport and I can't think of a new sport that I've learned, but I will address a sport that I started to play again after a long time and I felt like it was brand new. So, kickball. I decided as an adult that I was going to join a kickball league. Kickball leagues and what we played as children are not the same thing. I quickly learned that. So, and I'm looking at my notes because this week with self direct learning, what I realized as I was analyzing where I fit in there, part of me felt like I had self motivation, like it was goals for myself. And then part of it also I thought of being where it was outside motivation because I had a good friend of mine encouraging me to play. She even volunteered to join. And let me also say this: the first time I did this in 2017, I was at like my second game and I broke my hand. Yeah, a month before my wedding. So I quit. There was no more of that. Then I circled back to it because after learning that kickball as kids and kickball as an adult on a league, even if we are mostly supposed to be playing for fun, was not the same thing. And so, with that being said, I really had to now think about my physical. I had to pay attention to the rules because there were rules that I had no idea about. I was like, I mean, you're either out or you're in. All this other stuff, can't pass this and do all of that. I had to sit down and really study the game and study the rules and watch videos so I can see examples of it. Because now, as an adult, I'm no longer playing the game for fun. I'm now, or all the time, I'm having to be more intentional because you're supposed to already know how to play, right? So then I also, in kind of connecting some of my learning with this, it said, although it is thought that all adults have the capacity to be self-directed learners, the willingness, motivation, and/or life circumstances to be self-directed vary. And that's very true because, the first time I was not motivated. I was not driven. After my hand got hurt, I was over it. And it took me a while, probably 5 years, to circle back to the idea. And then I realized also that my ability was then different as well because during that time I actually was heavier than I am right now and I was struggling with weight loss, and so I had a different motivation, but then I had also a different limitation as well. So I think that as an adult learner, as I was learning this new sport, if you want to say, because it's new again to me, that I definitely had to figure out what my why was. It was really important for me to focus on what it was and how committed I was, and also who I was going to have around me with it, because I needed people that was going to boost my ego a little bit, worse than me, and it definitely helped. And ironically, our team went really far. We made it all the way to the playoffs and only lost the last 2 games, which is crazy because we was man down. Um, Literally man down. It was funny because my husband complained he had to get a knee brace, and it was crazy. And my friend got hurt; she pulled her hamstring. We definitely showed our age during this new sport. But also in reading this and making those connections as being reflective, I want to go back to the self-directed learning in various contexts, and it kind of resonated with me, even though part of what was said in here I did not completely agree with. But when we went to go play this new sport, there were not a whole lot of African Americans playing. And so most of our teams, it was literally an African American team against a majority Caucasian team or a majority of Middle Eastern descent, right? And they all appeared to be way more together in certain things. So we would sit back and be like, ooh, this is awkward, right? But for us, instead of us like using it as a, oh well, we can't compete on that level, like in the text they talked about that the African American man to his to the return to that context would likely be low, and even his motivation to learn the software may be diminished. For us, it wasn't like that. And I guess we were the other side where we returned, and our ability and willingness to do more and our effort was different when it was in mixed settings. We didn't rise to the occasion because of the mixed settings. Our settings didn't change. So I think that's where I disagree with where his settings change, so his experience changed. But I think it's all about that mindset again, which is another part of the self-directing. But yeah, that would be my experience trying to learn this new sport and what I did to try to learn the new sport. But I definitely would have to say that I had different motivations that fact was factor. So I had health. I think about and I had really liked this assessment. And Sherry, I'm pretty sure you're like, what is Sophia doing? My rabbit hole. Okay, come with me. Come take this trip. So that it's on page 75 where the Costa and Calix criteria for self-directed learner assessment. Just looking at the self-managing, monitoring, and modifying, I see metacognitive skills all through this, and that's what I connect most with self-directed learning, because you have to be reflective, you have to adjust. So and when I compare the learning at kickball, I look at, you know, balances solitude and togetherness, action and reflection, and personal and professional growth. So on that side was more personal growth. And then in that middle piece, generating new and innovative ideas and problem solving strategies. So with that, I actually started taking a different approach with things after learning that sport again. It made me really go back and look at other areas in life that I can either refine and get better at, or pay attention to why that might not have worked so much. And was my self-directed learning, what pieces of that were weaker, and as to why I might have not followed through and been successful with it. So there's my spiel on that. And yes, I did buy the book because printing is my thing, and highlighting, and I bought the book.